Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Career Success Conversations. It's great pleasure for me to have Satish Padmanabhan today on the conversation on the episode. And Satish is a very seasoned professional. He has more than 20 years of experience in the software engineering field. And I worked with Satish last year. We worked together on a coaching journey last year, and it was a fabulous journey to work with Satish because Satish, as I already said, that he's a very seasoned professional, and he has a very reflective kind of a quality to him. Anything that he does with a lot of depth. So all the conversations that I had with him during the coaching journey, he brought out deeper aspects of all the work that we did together, a lot of introspection, a lot of retrospection, and he brought about a lot of aspects about our professional life into light, and you will hear that in this conversation. But first, let me welcome Satish. Satish, hearty welcome to this conversation.
Hello, Hemant. Thanks for this opportunity.
It's absolute pleasure to have you, Satish. And I was actually waiting for this conversation to happen. So it would be great if you can introduce yourself to our audience, Satish.
Yeah, I'm Satish Padmanabhan. As Hemant mentioned, I have been an IT professional for the last 20 years. And I've had my stints with Bank of New York Mellon for the first 17 years of my career, and subsequently moved to Standard Chartered Bank. Currently, I head the data governance division within financial markets for the Standard Chartered Bank technology. And I have worked with various technologies. I have worked with various verticals. And of late, as I've mentioned before, now I have moved into the data governance field because data is a very hot topic in the industry now. And I got this opportunity when I moved into Standard Chartered Bank, and I grabbed it with both of my hands. And subsequently, I have grown in my career in my in this company. And of late, I owe a few of my successes to Hemant, which I will be elaborating in this conversation. Thanks again, Hemant.
Surely, Satish. It was my pleasure to work with you. So let us start. Let us start from that place where, see, you are already a seasoned professional doing well in your career. And you're leading teams, you're already a leader. So what was that trigger point? What prompted you to look for a professional career coach? And if you can speak a little bit slower, that will be good, Satish.
Sure. One of the things is that I have enjoyed successes in my career. But I felt that I am not able to maximize, uncover my potential. I'm not able to, perform to my potential. I feel that I could have gone elsewhere. This is a kind of a regret that I have been having. It's kind of a lingering feeling that I've been having. Not just looking back at my own career, but also by looking at my peers and seeing where they are. And I feel that I can do a lot more. And doing a lot more has different dimensions to it. It's not just about being successful in your career, but then also having that kind of a satisfaction that you're heading somewhere, right? And that was something that was actually a missing link here. Although I was quite excellent at my work, I was well recognized in whatever endeavors that I was involved with. But then there was and I was also quite recognized at my work, but I felt that there was something that is missing. And I felt that I can sort of at least take the services or the help of some professional or a career coach. At that time, I didn't have a career coach in mind specifically, but I thought that I needed some kind of a professional help. I can sort of tune into the collective wisdom of a number of professionals who are well experienced in the industry, so that I can at least see where I stand and how I can take my career forward.
Right. Got that, Satish. In fact, you're absolutely right when you say that successful professionals, as successful professionals, when we feel stuck, we have options like, discussing with our friends or discussing within the family. But what I'm seeing more and more frequently is that professionals who are already successful, but feeling that their potential is not completely utilized, or they are feeling that there is something missing and they want to take their game to the next level, I am seeing that more and more such professionals are looking for professional help. Recently, I had a conversation with a senior lady professional. And when I asked her that what prompted you to contact us and talk to me, she said that when I have, when I'm not feeling well, I go to a doctor. When I need financial advice, I go to a financial advisor or financial planner. So she said that on the same lines, when I'm confused about my career next steps and I want to take my career to the next level, I thought it was only logical to look for professional help. And I'm happy as a career coach to see that is happening more and more. Because when I look back at my career, when I was transitioning my own career 8 years back, I sought professional help and I worked with a coach. That was my first experience of coaching, and that was so helpful to me, and that's why I got into coaching in the first place. So that's how my journey began more than 8 years ago. So you talked about the reason why you were looking for a professional career coach. Had you experienced this kind of coaching before, Satish?
To be honest, this is the first time that I'm experiencing that kind of a coaching.
Yeah.
I have had interactions with my friends, with a few of my colleagues, with quite a number of seniors.
Right.
I have gone through certain mentoring sessions in my organization before, and they were quite useful and a lot of insights there. But then what I see is missing is the focus on the career as such. Right? It seems to be a lot more short term and seems to be more goal oriented. Goal oriented in the sense of the next 6 months, what we're talking about. It could be in terms of certain certifications or new opportunities or new projects, right? Or perhaps how to increase the visibility within the scope of your organization.
Right.
But then that doesn't span the entire career as such, right? And one of the more important things that I gained from this session is that career management is different from your performance in your organization. That's a very critical point that I gained from the coaching sessions that I've had. So you need to look at these two things very differently. Of course, the performance in your organization is very, very important, but then you'll have to have that a larger vision of where your career is heading towards. Also,
Absolutely.
to sort of reflect back where you stand and perhaps see if you are able to create some kind of an alignment, some kind of an orientation towards where you want to see yourself, and get to a point where you don't have any regrets when you look back. So that's one of the reasons as to why I sought professional help from you. Whether I can reach that kind of get to that kind of a mindset, after this career coaching sessions, and then subsequently I should be able to orient towards it.
Right. Yeah. A few brilliant points that you brought up, Satish. One was inside of an organization, also career conversations happen. But as you said, they are more towards solving immediate problems or achieving immediate goals or achieving immediate targets. So they are useful from that perspective, but they may not be useful from the long-term career planning perspective or career management, as you called it. So that's a brilliant point that you brought up. And another point which you brought up, which resonates a lot with me and a lot of clients that I work with, is that people want to really give it their best shot now and not regret later that, oh, I should have done it 5 years back, I should have tried it. That kind of regret. Somebody actually mentioned to me that regret is a very heavy burden. So you brought out that point brilliantly. Now, you mentioned that you had not experienced coaching. So was there any hesitation in signing up for coaching? Did you have any thoughts about, will this work for me? Will this not work for me? And anything that was going through your mind before starting the coaching journey?
Yeah, I had a few apprehensions, to be honest. Whether coaching would be useful, and with 20 years of experience, right? What will I find that I have not already gone through, right? I might have got these pieces of advice from different sources already, and I have gone through many leadership training sessions also.
Right.
So I didn't actually expect something new to be uncovered as such. But then this problem is still there, that I am not able to give a satisfying answer to myself. Is like, how do I find satisfaction towards where I should be heading towards, right? So when I look back, as I said, I should have no regrets. So how do I orient myself towards the direction, and how best I can sort of position myself in terms of acquisition of new skills, pursuing aggressively for new opportunities, and then aligning myself to something that is meaningful and valuable, not just myself but also the community around, right?
Right.
So as I grow older, I would, the sense of the self is more expansive. It just doesn't stop with yourself. It is also, sort of reaches out to your immediate family, your colleagues, your friends, and then you start to gain more satisfaction by helping others rather than just helping yourself. Which was more towards when I was around 30 or perhaps around 10 years of experience. My thought process is more on that direction. But now it is about finding satisfaction by also helping others, right? In fact, your value is more about how you can bring value to others. And therefore, this kind of a reorientation is actually required. And therefore, I thought that professional help would be very much useful at this stage in my career.
Right. Yeah. So, like you said, that you were not sure when you started the journey and how this will pan out. With you already had 20 plus years of experience, having gone through more than 2 decades of career journey yourself. In fact, I know that you work as a mentor in your organization, right? You have been part of the leadership positions and you have gone through leadership programs. So it is very natural, Satish, to have that question or doubt in your mind that, hey, how is it going to help me? I have gone through so many training programs. So now let us come to that part where how was your experience with the coaching journey? Did it, how did it go? Was it as per your expectation? Was there something that, completely new for you? So how was your coaching journey? People would love to hear that.
Yeah. So, to be very honest, it started as a big relief. I could spend 1 hour of time talking to somebody. I can pour out, whatever I feel, I think, and my problems. Right? There is nobody willing to be as patient as a coach to actually listen to your problems, right? And therefore, that is how a good coach is. And this is kind of a big relief for me, and it was very therapeutic in that sense. And it was a very interesting journey where I uncovered various aspects about myself. So what I got to know is about managing your career is actually a process of transformation, right? So you actually become a different person once you reach your goal. And one of the most important things that I learned is that you actually need to be that person before even you start aiming for that goal. It starts from the beginning rather than aiming to become that person at the end of that goal. And once you start to orient yourself, this kind of an orientation can be supported by reflecting upon your habits, fine-tuning them, getting into certain practices that would actually help you to have the right kind of orientation of the mindset towards reaching those goals. And these are small incremental steps that I have taken throughout my coaching journey, and it still continues. And it has helped me to keep myself focused towards the end goals, right? And so these were one of the lessons, but there were a lot of other gems that I've uncovered through the discussions, right? A few other things that I got to know is, of course, what I have stated before is career management is not about your performance in the organization. So in whatever role that I have gotten into, whatever responsibilities I've taken, I've endeavored to give my best. And it was also recognized. But then it didn't take me anywhere. So you need to actually connect the dots. You need to connect the dots and bring in some kind of an alignment towards where you want to see yourself. And from there, you need to work backwards in terms of the activities that you need to do in terms, either it could be in terms of developing skills, building the network, reaching out to the senior management, having honest conversations with them, creating more opportunities for oneself by getting into certain projects. These are some of the things that I have uncovered. It's not specifically that it's coming from you, Hemant, but I started to reflect upon myself. When you just gave the triggers, I was able to reflect upon myself to find out what are the activities that I can potentially do in order to reach there. And and it becomes more habitual once you get there. I have also in the process become very assertive and quite a better negotiator with my management team also. And after all, it is a win-win situation that we want to create, right? I would like to see I bring out some kind of a value to them, so that they are able to value me. This is another important lesson that I learned through my coaching journey, is that if you're looking for promotion, right, you will have to create something of value that your stakeholders want, right? And if you want to become an
Absolutely.
expert, then you will have to do something that would make you more knowledgeable in that area, right? So it is very pinpointed, very specific, and that's something that has that I have gained. I have been thinking, and maybe primarily little bit of ego is also there. I have been thinking that if I am good at my job, if I am quite knowledgeable, if I am perhaps better than my management team in certain areas, then I should be naturally entitled to gain a certain position, right? But this is a kind of a wishful thinking, but it is not really true. So what I really got to know is that if you are able to solve the problems of the next level, you would be found to be valuable to them, and they automatically would take you to the next level. So that's an important gain that I had from this coaching journey. Something which is very simple, very insightful, right in front of my eyes, but I totally missed it, and I got to know about it now. Right.
Right.
And a few other things also through my coaching. I'm not able to remember all of it, but then it has been quite an insightful experience, and I was actively looking forward to have those conversations on a week basis, right? Completing many of the assignments that you have given. So the coaching journey
Right.
is not just about having a happy chat for 1 hour on a weekend. It is also about doing certain exercises, and those exercises were also very useful. And you have to really think. You'll have to really think, turn the different pages of your life, and then reflect upon it, and put it on paper. And that was quite a journey, I would say. Overall, quite transformative. But I would still say that it is just the beginning. It sets you on the right path, but then it is up to you to take it forward. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely well said, Satish. And you brought out actually so many aspects through what you just shared in the last few minutes, talking about you expanding yourself into not only chasing a goal or chasing a position. And I remember those conversations. In fact, while you were sharing that, in my mind, I was actually going through the conversations we had around these topics. And as you said, that a lot of us, and it is very natural that we seek a promotion, seek the next role. But as you rightly mentioned, that what we forget is that first we have to become that, create that value proposition, and then that particular promotion or that particular position becomes a natural outcome of the process. You also brought out very, very nicely the introspection part, that what were some of the things that we can miss out as like blind spots, which we are not aware of our own threats. Like something that you brought about was the ego part, or the communication with stakeholders part that you spoke about. So as you mentioned, that we use a lot of scientific tools in the process, and you become aware through this scientific tools. So we will talk about that a little bit. But one more point that you touched upon, which I think is a very beautiful point, is you giving yourself that 1 hour every week or every 2 weeks for yourself, talking to your coach, and where there is a safe space to say anything, and you're not getting judged for that. And like you said, you pour yourself and you empty yourself so that you can begin to actually take in the new which you want to become. Like you said, it's a transformative process. So that's brilliantly said, Satish. So some of the introspection, some of the reflection tools, is there anything that you can recall from that journey that you got aware of yourself about certain aspects which you were not aware of earlier, like something like a blind spot? Did you discover something like that, if you can recall?
Okay. So the tools that we have used is couple of tools. One is to discover your strengths and limitations. The second one is the personality assessment tools.
Yes.
Let me touch upon the personality assessment tools. So one thing that whenever you want to use a tool is to really see if the tool is effective, in the sense that it gives a right assessment of what you know about yourself, and that to a large extent the tool was accurate, right? But then there were certain aspects that I had discovered about myself, and one of those things is that in certain of the areas, right? Although I am more of an agreeable person, I want to collaborate, right? But there are certain things that I don't want to negotiate at all. I am quite assertive with those points, and in fact, I believe that it is closely aligned to my value systems than anything else, and therefore I am not willing to negotiate. So it appears that there are rough edges around the qualities that they emerge. There are there are hard edges around that, right? So it's not just about the qualities that they emerge. So it is also about some of the finer level nuances that you will have to look into, right? And these finer level nuances of what the tool has predicted has actually made me reflect a lot more, right? So if you have a general set of data points which all point to a certain direction, but there are some data points which actually stand out, you might deem it to be outliers. And it is out from these outliers that you can actually get the most information from. So I discovered a few outliers from this tool that sort of it was a kind of a discovery for me. But if I had to reflect more, I was able to come to an agreement on the assessment. I was able to come to an agreement that indeed the tool is right. Indeed, I don't compromise on few things. Whereas mostly I'm quite a cooperative person in a general sense. I don't compromise on few things. There are certain things that are steeped into my values. I'm willing to step out of my comfort zones in order to stick to those values, right? And those are the things that the tool was able to bring out effectively. Another thing that the tool actually brought out is the kind of there are certain qualities that you will have to actively work upon in order to get to the point, to the goal that you want to reach there, right? So we also went to this through this assessment as to, okay, you want to reach to a certain goal, you want to reach a certain position in your career. So what are the qualities that it entails in order for you to reach there, right? And then you will also have to take a stock of where you are actually now, some kind of an assessment of where you actually stand. And I did find there were quite a number of gaps and kind of a reorientation that was necessary in order to get there. And then you need to sort of, okay, so for example, one of the things that came out is I'm more of an agreeable person. But then being an agreeable person all throughout doesn't actually take you anywhere. You need to be very clear to what you are going to stick with, what you will be shooting for, right? And then there are compromise on this, right? You can generally be an amicable person so that you are able to get the confidence and the conviction of the people that you are working with, right? But then you need to stick to certain things. Similarly, there was another point that was coming out is being conscientious, right? So you choose your words, you get a fair understanding of the context of the situation, and then you are quite deliberate in your actions, your words, your thoughts, right? I'm not a very conscientious person, but then you need to be conscientious in order to reach higher level positions, right? So that there is, you're very clear with your communication, that it is not misconstrued, and there is a perfect alignment between your thoughts, your actions, your words, and all that. So I need to work on these more. What I have found is that I am a person who likes to get into the details, perform an analysis, and likes to share whatever I have discovered with everybody.
Right.
So that kind of a mindset actually helps in more kind of innovative setups, perhaps. And but it is not the kind of mindset that would actually help you to reach a certain stage of your career. You need to imbibe a lot more qualities. You need to be a lot more thoughtful. You need to be a lot more deliberate in your actions, your words, in order to reach where you want to reach, right? And otherwise, you can definitely forget about those things. There's no point of keeping a goal at all. So you need to be very, very conscientious, towards which direction you're actually moving towards. And this is something that actually came out very clearly from those reports.
Right. I think you talked about that in quite a depth, Satish, and as I expected, you are that kind of person who will go into the deeper analysis and bring out deeper perspectives. That's what you exactly did. And as you said, that conscientiousness or agreeableness, these are aspects of your personality that came up. Conscientiousness, when in terms of how do you plan your things, how do you work towards your goal, like you mentioned, what skills that you want to develop. We also looked at the skills assessment, what skills you need to develop at the leadership level and for you to go to the next level. So we talked a lot about these aspects about self-awareness, blind spots. Now it is also important to talk about the tangibles. right? Because self-awareness is great, insights are great, but unless they result into some kind of a tangible, right? It is of not much of a use in that sense in the real world. So if you can recall, what were some of the tangible benefits that you could see at your workplace in your role? Maybe it could be in terms of interactions, or maybe in terms of any tangible benefits that you got. If you can share that, Satish.
Sure. So one of the main things is, of course, there's a kind of a reformed mindset towards and more what I would use for want of a better term is kind of an aggressive pursuit towards where you really want to be, right? And this has actually helped me to have certain tough conversations with my management team, right? It is not just to complain about, okay, I'm not getting the right kind of opportunities, or I'm not getting promoted, so on and so forth. But then it is about, what kind of a value that I can add to the system, and also to bring forth the fact that I do have the potential for it. So in certain cases, I have endeavored to gain certain certifications in order to position myself as a viable candidate for those roles, right? And then I take the time out, complete those certifications, and then I have conversations with my management team, and about specifically about the kind of value that I can add to the overall scheme of things, right? The second thing is, like, I have got a lot more inquisitive about the things that are happening around me. So specifically, what does the management really want to do, and what is the kind of which are the things which are most valued by them? What is the most of what is the thing? What are the areas of the highest priority? Right? So these are the things that I have sort of consciously attempted towards knowing those, right? And also outside the scope of my immediate work also. So it's not just my manager is interested, it also could be my skip level management, it could be the entire division as such. And also to a certain extent, right, how it is faring in the market, right? So if you're offering certain products and services, how well we do in the market, so that you're able to bring in that kind of an alignment when you talk to your the management team, right? Knowing some of the terminologies that they use was another thing. And one of the things that actually came out in my conversations is that I need to sort of beef up upon my business skills, right? The understanding of the domain a lot more, and that is where much of the value resides. So I have consciously sought to learn on that. In fact, I have recently taken up an expanded set of responsibilities towards not only on the technology side, but also the business and operations of it. Right.
That's
so
fantastic.
That is an opportunity that I have. They have conferred upon me. They had faith in my abilities.
Yeah.
And it's also came out due to the conversations that I've had with my management team. And I'm currently the head of both the metadata management and as well as the data governance teams here.
Great.
And I don't have much of a background on data governance before, but it has come out in a pretty organic way, in the sense that I try to understand the technology that I build, what kind of value that it brings to the overall scheme of things, right? And then when you pursue that this value, then you try to become closer to your business, to the operations, and try to understand what is of value to them. And when you're able to go beyond what is expected of you, and that is where the people actually sit up and then look at what you are actually doing. You're bringing out something new. Right. You are bringing out something valuable. You are able to automate things. You are bringing in a lot more efficiencies, and therefore they would want you to be in a certain position where you would be able to fulfill their goals and perhaps aspirations even, right? And so that's one of the things that has been brought out very effectively in my as one of the tangible results of this, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so some of the things could be little awkward, in the sense that some of the conversations, I wanted a very clear title, so that I was very conscious of the kind of the interaction dynamics I had with others. It is not that I would suggest others to pursue a certain title. That should not be the number one thing in your mind. I would rather suggest, or I would rather advise people to focus upon building their competencies and see what kind of value they bring to the system. But then there are certain exceptional cases where you do notice, that comes from your experience, you do notice that if the interaction dynamics were a little different, then you would be able to push your way through, and you will be able to add value to the overall setup, right? And that I was able to observe. And then I had a conversation with manager to change my title also in the process. Change my title, give me more opportunities and responsibilities.
Yes.
And so that I bring a total alignment towards what I wanted to contribute towards, right? So that was my focus. So these are definitely the tangible benefits I would see.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Satish. And I can see that you took charge of your career, right? You spoke about that earlier. And then from that place, you talked about your competencies, skills, and what value you can create for the organization rather than thinking about, oh, I want to go to that role. But first you started thinking, first you took charge of your career, looked at what your competencies and skills are, what are the areas you want to improve on. And then from that place, you started having conversations with the senior stakeholders about what value can you bring, what additional responsibilities you can take. And this is very, very important point that you brought up, Satish, because I am seeing that a lot of professionals, a lot of senior leaders at your level, they have the capability, but they do not proactively start conversations about who they are, what they're capable of, what value they can bring to the table, and what additional responsibilities they can carry. When that doesn't happen, there is no visibility, and they miss out on those opportunities. So what you did was a proactive step, and as you said that you got those opportunities, you got those responsibilities, you also got the title change, which is kind of a promotion for you, like you mentioned, so which is fantastic. But you took charge of your career. That was the first most important shift that I saw in you. So having gone through this journey yourself, for more than 6 months or so, how would you look at, first of all, my question to you will be that would you recommend coaching to others who are in a similar situation, who want to take their career game to the next level? Would you recommend that to them? That is first question. Second question, which is also related, that what is your return on investment in coaching? How would you put that?
Okay. To be very honest, I would not necessarily recommend coaching for everybody until they have reached a certain stage where they are able to accurately reflect upon the problems that they have. So defining the problem is the first step towards solving the problem, right?
Absolutely.
So you need to reflect upon your career. You need to take the necessary steps, preliminary steps, and see if you're going somewhere. If you are still finding yourself to be a little unsuccessful and the problem seems to be a little more deeper, right? Then I would say to write down the problem first, to define what really your problem is, right? And perhaps do some kind of an assessment of the kind of values that you want to stick to, right? The kind of values and what would be the most satisfying for you, right? What kind of experiences you are looking for that would give you the greatest satisfaction, not just in terms of happiness, but also in terms of sense of achievement and all that. And so there's a kind of a coaching that you need to do to yourself before, it's not exactly a kind of coaching, but is to get the problem defined well. Right. Get the problem defined well, and then you should have actually put some effort towards solving the problem, and should have actually reached a stage where you have not gone anywhere, with that. Right. And that is where I feel that you are ready to receive from the coaching sessions.
Yeah.
Right. You have given your best, and then you are willing to take help. Right. You have given your best, and you are just leaning upon somebody to receive the help that they are giving. So I would say that.
Right.
And if somebody says the coaching is not very useful, I would tend to agree and disagree. It's because the coaching, as I said, right, there are some kind of a preparatory step that is needed in order to actually discover that coaching is needed even, right? So if somebody says that coaching is not needed for them, I would say best of luck. But then if somebody says coaching is needed, then they need to define the problem well. Is it a problem of the competency, or is it a problem of their mindset? There are different aspects that they need to probably look into, and some of these aspects are not known, right? And so a good coach will be able to uncover some of those issues for them.
Right. Absolutely. Well said. And I also completely agree with you. Not everybody is ready for coaching. I completely agree with you, because for one to be ready for coaching, I also call that as being coachable.
Yes.
See, in spite of being such a senior professional that you are, Satish, you were absolutely coachable. open-minded, because you had already done that reflection that this is where I am in my career. These are some of the challenges that I want to overcome, and this is where I want to go. So some kind of a goal setting in your own head. And in addition to goal setting, the commitment required to work towards that goal is required even before you look for a coach. So I think that's a great advice that you have given. And it is not that everybody needs a coach all the time. No, it is not true. Like you said, you can do a lot of things by yourself, but when you see that you have tried but you have not progressed, then do not hesitate and look for a coach, because time aspect is also very important. And one of the things, Satish, which I observe for myself is that I work with coaches myself, right? I have a coach for myself because I know that being a coach, right? I believe in coaching so much that I know that in my own behavior, there are so many blind spots that I cannot see. And that's why I need a mirror. So, that is how I see coaching. And I absolutely agree with you that uh, one should go for coaching only when they are ready mentally. And the commitment to put in the effort, has to be there. Brilliant. So, um, so I think that was great, Satish, having this conversation with you. So any last thoughts from your side, that anything that you would like to share with our audience before we complete this conversation? Any last words from you?
Sure. So once you have decided that you need a coaching, choosing your coach is a very important step. And why I chose you, Hemant, is I have gone through a few of your videos before on your website, and I was able to see the sense of integrity that is coming out. Right? Nothing was flashy about it. No, high commitments in terms of okay, you will get transformed in your uh, journey. You will become a super, kind of a superstar. And just putting in certain terms, right? So it is. I could see the integrity shining forth from your words, right? And it was straight to the face. And I was actually picturing myself. Suppose if I became a coach, I would be more like you, and therefore I was able to connect there. So I would say choose a coach who is able to first demonstrate integrity. That's the most important thing, right? Of course, the rest of the things also come forth: communication skills, clarity, the ability to help you discover more about yourself. All of those things actually come into play. But helping others to discover themselves also comes from the sense of integrity. Right? Unless the coach himself has touched himself, has understood himself well, he will not be helping. He will not be able to help others to bring forth that kind of understanding also, right, for others. So this is very important. Choosing the right coach is important after the problem has been defined, as I said before.
Absolutely, Satish. And thank you for your kind words. I think that was a good message, for people who are listening, people who are watching this video, that how to choose a coach, that choose a coach that you can match your frequency with, right? Choose a coach that you want to work with. That is also an important part. Sometimes we call that as a chemistry part also. So that was very, very nicely articulated by you, Satish. So thank you once again, Satish, for your time today, for sharing your coaching journey, for sharing your wisdom with us. And we will be in touch. And you're anyways part of the community, part of the family. So we'll see you again soon. But thank you so much for your time today, Satish.
Thanks, Hemant.
Thanks a lot.
It has been my pleasure too. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we will complete today's episode. And thank you everybody for watching and listening to this. Thank you so much.